Now that your organizational unit structure is defined and created, the next step is creating users' accounts. But before rushing on how to technically do that, let's talk about the user account naming convention your company use or want to define. Having a well-defined user account naming convention is very important. It allows every system administrator creating a user account simply by referring to the naming convention and not coming up with a name of his head. It will keep user accounts names harmonized across the domain and thus simplify administrators' job. And more important, a well-thought convention will prevent changing users' account names more often, because changing a user name can have negative impacts. First, most users' applications accounts are mapped on the Active Directory users' accounts, and thus the user can be unable to open its application session. Changing Active Directory username can also distort the audit. If you have a username that has been changed many times and you are asked to audit this user's accesses to the file share, it can be difficult to do an accurate audit, especially if you don't have the changes history. Okay, now let's go back to the naming convention. There are mainly two approaches you can adopt, depending on your organization policy and priority. The first one is usability based. When applying this approach, you define a username that is convenient to your users and can be easy to remember by them. The most commonly used is complete first name plus last name. It can be concatenated or separated by a hyphen, an underscore, or a period. Example: for John Smith, the username can be John Smith concatenated. It can be John underscore Smith or John.Smith. Another variable can be the use of the first letter of the first name plus the complete last name. For example, the username for John Smith can be G Smith concatenated, G underscore Smith or G.Smith. As we said earlier, with this naming convention, user can remember easily his logon name. Also, the help desk job can be facilitated. Based on the user first name and last name, they can easily find the user account on which they need to perform a task. The second approach is security-based. The naming convention based on the first and the last name is convenient for users and the help desk, but she has a drawback on the security side. Most hackers, when trying to access a user session or an email account, the first thing they do is guessing the username. And if they get the username, they have the half of the authentication. This is why the security approach tries to make it harder for hackers to guess the username. It can be combined of 3 randomly generated letters combined with 3 randomly generated numbers. You can make it simple for users to remember by combining 3 letters from their names with 3 numbers. For example, the username for John Smith can be GSM 159. That's all for this lesson. Thank you for watching.